today we are kind of ground truthing some of the stuff that we found a couple of weeks ago when we did transecting, which means taking a bunch of archaeology types and walking through the woods like a comb and looking for depressions, because generally when Atna or Dena'ina people lived here before, we dug in. We dug into the ground to make caches for food or to live in. And oftentimes when you do the transecting, walking through the woods like a comb, you fall into the depressions, especially when the vegetation is high like today. And so we marked a few of those depressions, and we came back today to dig down and see what kind of soil stratigraphy is in those depressions to kind of make a determination of whether or not it was a food cache, or whether it was a house pit, or whether it was just something that was made by animals. For us, it's critical because it helps fill in the blanks. When Chicxulub came into contact with non-native people and even started trading things, so that happened in the late 1700s, maybe even before then, we were affected by disease, by non-native people, by a lot of things. And so there's a little bit of loss of history and how we lived here in the bigger historical context. And so whenever we can come out and do these kind of research projects before a project starts, that means that we can fill in some of those holes. We can learn about the resources that were here before all that stuff happened, and we can learn about how we lived on this land. People thought we wandered, and when people say that wander word to me, I get kind of mad because we knew exactly where we were on the landscape. Land ownership wasn't a thing. People owned trading trails, but they didn't necessarily own the land. They didn't own the land. Nobody would be as presumptuous as to own the land. And so as people from Chicxulub, we ended up there in that smaller space, but that really isn't how people lived on landscapes traditionally before settlement. They generally lived on a whole water body. Some of them are big rivers, and they would live summertime at their fish camp at the mouth of the river. They would live in the middle, midwinter, and then they would hunt up at the headwaters. And so it's looking at this land in a more holistic context, I think, that we learn more about it and us as people in return.